On Nationwide this evening, in the run-up to his Irish tour, we meet the man who made Bring Him Home his own on the world stage. Colm Wilkinson revisits the place of his birth in Dublin and talks about the early days. Also, Gloria, a lesbian and gay choir, celebrates its 18th birthday, and the story of a West of Ireland drama group and their plans to bring their play to Cork and Dublin. This evening we have actors and singers on the Nationwide menu. We go to Drimnagh in Dublin first, the birthplace of singer Colm C.T. Wilkinson, best known perhaps for his role as Jean Valjean in the West End and Broadway productions of Les Miserables. His journey there was a lengthy one, having started out playing cabaret in Dublin, and he received his first big break as Judas in Jesus Christ Superstar. To Dubliners though, he'll always be the man from Drimnagh, where I recently met him. Colm, this is the house that you were born in Mangerton Road in Drimnagh.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, born in the front room there.
You were one of a very large family.
10, yeah.
And where did you come in the family, Colm?
Fifth, right in the centre. 6 girls, 4 boys. So I was right in the centre. And
can you remember who your neighbours were or where they were?
Well, the O'Donohues lived there, the Longs lived there, the Browns lived there. I can't remember the next. And the Walshes. I used to play with Aidan Walsh, and my older brother played with Paddy Walsh. And my first girlfriend was Gertie Walsh.
From down there?
From down there, yeah.
Little secret. This space here was football and hurling and chasing and games.
And it was much bigger. It was out to here.
Right.
And it was just a magical place. The community were great. They helped one another. They looked after one another. And okay, so there is a bit about knowing each other's business. But you know, the first phone that came in, I think it was that house there, and the woman used to come out and she'd say, "Come in, John, you're wanted on the phone," you know, to make everybody know they had a phone, you know, yeah. "Come in for your 2 sausages, your 3 eggs, and your 4 rashers," you know. It was that kind of a place. No, I'm exaggerating, but it was that kind of a place, you know. It was great crack.
And what about music? Was your family a musical family?
Absolutely, huge. My mom was an amateur sort of singer, actress. My dad played banjo. He's from the north of Ireland, from Belfast, and he sang. And there was always music in the house, but it was always created by us, because I don't think at that stage we had a record player. There was one actually instance where I think it was the Free State situation here, the celebration for the Free State, Ireland getting its statehood. And they had sort of a concert for the community here, and everybody here performed. There was a guy in that house who's from Cork, who's a great singer. He sang, and my dad actually played the banjo and sang. And I remember watching him as a kid. I don't know, I was 5 or 6, and I was thinking of, and all the people were looking at him and the attention he was getting, and I thought, somehow that sort of resonated with me.
Coming back to Drimnagh, it's a long time since you're gone from here, but you come back once every 10 years or so. What do you get from that?
I just have many, many happy memories of this place. When we moved from this place, we moved down to, there were 10 of us. The last kid was born, my sister Colette, and we had to move. There's no room left. So we moved to Rathmines, to a far bigger house and a far grander place, and I hated it. But it was a big wrench, a big emotional wrench. I remember the day we had to move, being up in that top bedroom window and looking out and seeing, thought I'd never come back here again, and it really broke my heart. I remember I wrote a song, 23, just Mangerton, oh Mangerton, I remember when we were young. Mangerton, oh Mangerton, I remember soft summer sun. And it was about life as a child on the mountainside, left my red face burning. Hair was cropped, legs were fat, both arms hurt from climbing. An old black tar set the valley on fire, and the grass was yellow and dying.
Oh my goodness, get overcome.
Can't get back, can't get ahead, but all the time remembering the way it used to be. I crept in to tell my sins in holy fear and trembling. In a darkened box with a face like a fox, the old priest was a-bending, trying to hear through his tired ears my terrible tale and ending. Can't get back, can't get ahead, but all the time remembering the way it used to be. We had to pack and leave the cul-de-sac, with the family still a-growing. Thought I would die, knew I would cry, for sure we were going. What I left behind I can never find, although I keep on searching, can't get back, can't get ahead, and all the time remembering the way it used to be. Mangerton, oh Mangerton, I remember when I was young.
Colm, after school you embark on a musical career and you play in bands and so forth.
Yeah.
But it really is here in the Gaiety Theatre in Jesus Christ Superstar that you got your first big break.
Yeah, musical theatre. The first musical I ever did was here, playing Judas.
Judas is played by Colm Wilkinson, musician and rock singer, appearing in a stage production for the first time.
It depicts Judas, the whole thing, as being a very sort of sympathetic person. It's not the real evil character that the catechism and all this.
On that production of Jesus Christ Superstar, you were also joined by Luke Kelly.
Oh, Luke.
Come on, King of the Jews.
Luke was my great friend of mine. The opening night here, I was so nervous that I was actually physically getting ill in there, vomiting in the toilet. And Luke came in and gently took me to the side and pushed me on. Luke was a great character. Yeah.
What are your memories of that particular era and that kind of show here? Because Jesus Christ Superstar really was out there in terms of musical theatre.
Very controversial. They had placards outside saying we'd all burn in hell.
If they've any intelligence left about what Christianity is supposed to be, they'll examine their consciences. That's what I think.
It will offend people who want to be offended. If people come to be offended, they'll be offended, all right. But if you come with an open mind and listen to what it's all about and try to hear the lyrics, it's absolutely fantastic.
And musically a turning point, I guess, in terms of musical theatre.
It was, well, the people from London came over, saw me here, and then brought me over to London to do it over in London. And I went straight from here to the West End. So that's where it all started, in the West End, from here.
And also in your career along the way, you have represented Ireland in the Eurovision Song Contest.
Yeah.
With a composition of your own?
Yeah, and the previous year the composition of my own as well. Yeah, I was supposed to win, but I came fifth.
And the man is born to do one thing, and I was born to sing. And I must take the good times and the bad times they bring.
Neary's in Dublin, Colm. This is where you met your wife, Deirdre.
Yeah, I met her here the second time. Deirdre was a PA on the Reardons. And the Reardons, my sister Rebecca was Jude in the Reardons. I went out to drop her on location one day. She'd missed the bus and Deirdre was the PA and I met her there. And then the Reardons were having their annual dance and they all congregated here before they went down to Cleary's ballroom. So I came along here and Deirdre was sitting here and this is where I met Deirdre for the second time.
So
I think it was a setup myself, but there you go.
Really?
Yeah.
And Deirdre has been a constant support in your life and career right down the years.
It's the luckiest day of my life, the day I met Deirdre. She's just wonderful, wonderful person, a wonderful woman.
Colm, the splendid Bord Gáis Energy Theatre, there weren't venues like this when you were starting out.
No, sadly, and fantastic when it came along. It's perfectly designed as a theatre.
You have a great musical repertoire and range. You are into jazz and blues and musical theatre and opera. What genre would you feel most at home at?
The one that makes the most money. No. I don't know. Singing, just I like all. Any music that touches me emotionally, that gets to me emotionally, I like to sing. So I pick songs that resonate with me, whether they're country and western, whether they're Broadway, I used to do Ness and Dorm at one time because I loved that song even before Pavarotti was into it. It's about emotion and identifying with the piece and telling the story.
Well, Colm, it's absolutely wonderful to have you back in Dublin, in your native city, for your concert, and I wish you the very best of luck.
I'm delighted to be here and thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure.
Great talking to you. Thanks a lot.
And Colm Wilkinson performs shows in Dublin and Limerick next week. There are more shows planned for Dublin and Belfast in the coming weeks. All details are on Colm's website. Now, the Dublin-based gay choir Gloria celebrates its 18th birthday this year. The choir is not only about music, it also has a great sense of community for the singers involved. Recently, Valerie Waters attended a choir rehearsal and met the singers whose lives have been enriched by song and great friendships.
This is Gloria, Dublin's lesbian and gay choir. They're rehearsing this evening for their upcoming 18th anniversary concert at the National Concert Hall on June 15th. With a little over a week to go, they are perfecting their singing under the musical direction of Ian Packham.
Keep looking at me. The difference in the ending of that one to the other three, you're still doing the same pieces, same thing, but just it's so on the button. It's the same when we're doing any of the other songs we've been doing earlier on. It's getting that concentration. It's so there.
Gloria was established to provide a safe and comfortable place for gays and lesbians to meet and to sing together. Being part of the choir has enriched the lives of all of these singers.
In my other life, in my quiet life, I'm the principal of a primary school in Rathmines, a job which I'm absolutely passionately in love with and absolutely adore. But close second is my love of music and singing. And I suppose years ago when I was a teacher, about 10 years ago, I joined Gloria Choir. I was a very quiet and shy, retiring person at the time. And then the choir did this to me, and basically it has just been the makings of me. And, you know, looking after them all can be a bit like running a second primary school. But, you know, when you crack the whip and you get them back into place, they're brilliant.
For some members of Gloria, the choir has been the place where they've met their partner in love. Jess and Niamh Webley O'Gorman are one such couple. Both women joined the choir 10 years ago. They had a civil partnership in 2009, and since filming, Niamh has given birth to a baby girl. So congratulations to mothers Jess and Niamh. Barry Dowling has also been in the choir for a decade. Rehearsing every Tuesday evening and learning the songs during the week requires a lot of dedication.
To learn something off by heart in Russian, Latin, French, Irish, of course, it requires a massive commitment, but it's a labour of love.
Been dying to hear this all week.
It was a huge deal for me to join. Looking back on it, I think at the time I didn't realise the effect it would have in my life, or the positive effect. It kept me very grounded. I was in a very diverse group of people who had created what I would call new Irish families, people, older people, much younger people my own age. It's a big family. They're there for you in the good times, they're there for you in the bad times, and everything in between.
Gloria has performed extensively throughout Ireland, and they appeared on The Late Late Show when the choir was 10 years old.
Welcome, please, the choir known as Gloria.
Oh, give me land, lots of land under starry skies above. Don't fence me in, just let me ride through the wide open country that I love. Let me ride, don't fence me in, let me be by myself in the evening breeze. Listen to the murmur of the cottonwood trees. You can send me off forever, but I ask you please, don't fence me in.
Walt Kilroy is a returnee to Gloria. Due to work commitments abroad, he was away from the choir for 8 years and has recently rejoined.
Well, I'm not unused to doing things in public, having worked for 13 years in the newsroom in RTE, radio, television, everything from a Oireachtas report to reporting from conflict zones for the 9 o'clock news. So, but that's a different kind of, it's a different kind of pressure, it's a different kind of responsibility. There you're telling a story, you're trying to make sure you're being fair to everybody involved, you're trying to explain the background but also make it clear enough for a wide range of people to understand it.
Walt Kilroy, RTE News, at the front line at Cunduz.
Musically, you're doing something in public, you have that same little edge, that same little bit of pressure when you're doing stuff live, but it's a different kind of responsibility, and when it works, there's something magic happening.
Listening to the Gloria Choir sing is a sublime experience.
We want to bring the message that it's okay to be gay, and especially to young people. And I think there can be a feeling that these days everything is okay. Sure, we've moved on, and Ireland has moved on incredibly in the last decade or two, but it's still very, very difficult for many gay and lesbian people, both young and old. There is still a lot of work to do to make people more aware and more open.
The concert in the National Concert Hall on the 15th of June coincides with Irish AIDS Day, and it will be the 20th anniversary of the decriminalisation of homosexuality in Ireland. So come out and celebrate.
Well, I believe there are a few tickets left for Saturday week's performance. For more information, you can go to the Gloria website, which is on your screens now. After the break, we meet a West of Ireland drama group and hear about their ambitions to bring their play to the capital. Welcome back to Nationwide. Now, it's hard to beat a good night out with plenty of laughs to help you forget your troubles for a while. But that's exactly what a group of amateur actors from the West of Ireland have been doing around the West. Now, the Croaky Hill Club is spreading its cheer and planning to bring its production to Cork and Dublin. Our reporter Eileen Magner recently met the gang during a performance in Letterkenny, but her story starts in Mayo, and one of the best known voices on local radio.
Good morning and welcome to our programme. On today's programme, we talk to three young Castlebar students who are appealing to...
He's one of the best known voices on radio in the West of Ireland, but there's another side to Midwest radio presenter Tommy Marin and to his colleague at the station, Jerry Glennon.
A radio presenter by day, and by pure miracles of things, Eileen, I become Martin Daly by night, with one whelp of this jacket on, and then the old cap, and wait for it, this is the piece de resistance. This turns me from simple Jerry Glennon into Martin Daly, international sex symbol.
Oh, now, Martin.
Well, she'll be expecting then, Father. Oh, Father, I don't mean that Maura will be expecting, like. What I meant is that she'd be expecting.
Yeah, it's all right, Martin.
The other Father.
Yeah, I know you don't, but you sit down and shut up.
I will, Father, I will.
So, by night, Tommy becomes a priest and Jerry a gorgeous postman. They're part of the Croaky Hill Club, an amateur drama group packing out theatres from Donegal to Waterford and even in the UK and America with their latest play, written by Tommy himself, called The Real McCoy.
What did she say?
She said if I made a fuss, she'd pour boiling water down my trousers.
She would too.
It's set in rural Ireland over 2 days in 1964, and it's set in the home of Madge Malloy. And Madge has had to live for over 40 years knowing that her husband, Tom, whom she was married to for just 4 months, disappeared without trace. So Madge has lived 40 years of her life wondering where he went. At the time of his disappearance, she was expecting her only child, Maura. So she's grown up to be a very bitter woman about men in general.
And there's some hilarious moments in it and some poignant moments in it.
There are, and I think that's very important. I think in writing this play, I was very cognizant of the fact that people in this day and age want laughter and they want relief and escapism, so that when they come into a theatre, they can realise that for 2 hours they can forget about the household charge and all of the things that are going on in their everyday lives and take a trip back in time.
About an hour later, he woke up again and he said, "Madge, you're pretty." And I said to him, "An hour ago you said I was beautiful."
What did Eddie say?
He says, "I know, but the anaesthetic is wearing off now."
The Croaky Hill Club was formed out of another of Tommy's plays, The Banshee of Croaky Hill, and it's become a tightly knit unit with everyone doing their bit to keep the show on the road.
And it is all about mucking in. Eileen, our stage manager, our PR manager, our booking manager, looks after an awful lot of the heavy work, day-to-day stuff. We all work for a living, so this is our golf. You know, some people say to us, how do you get the time to do all of this and still hold down a full-time job? Well, look, you know, we don't play golf. We go on tour with a play that we love to do, an original, and we're getting so much satisfaction out of doing it.
We're on the road with this play almost 15, 16 months at this stage. And sure, it's wonderful, you know. It gets you out, it gets you among the people, love being out and around. No two places are the same. You get wonderful reaction, but it'll always be that slight bit different. And in many ways, it's kind of almost like a natural extension, because when you're on the radio, you're dealing with people and the public anyway, except in this instance, you get to see them up close and personal and you get to meet them afterwards. So it's kind of like two sides of a coin, really.
Have you got a mirror? Yes. I want to see it before I agree to it.
Now you're gorgeous.
Give me that back, Clever, look. But I absolutely love the part. She's a powerful, strong, cross, soft, good-natured woman at the back of it all, and it's a great woman's part. And I always say this, and Tommy thinks it's flattery, but it's not. It's genuine comment that he writes very well for women and writes lovely parts for women, and there aren't that many good women's roles, you know.
The proceeds of many performances are donated to charity, and with people constantly telling them that relatives overseas would love it, the actors headed to Knock to film The Real McCoy on location for a DVD. Capturing for posterity a time in Ireland with some unique ways of saying things, language Tommy feels is in danger of dying out.
When you consider that really the majority of the wonderful flowery Irish sayings and wit and humour was generated in the 50s, 60s and 70s when people didn't have televisions and they had to entertain themselves, I think there's great scope in this, and that's why I put together a whole plethora of the old Irish sayings and actually wove it into the script of this production.
She's had her fair share of fellas calling to the house over the years, but you've been cocking your hind leg at our gable for longer than most.
Well...
Any playwright out there at the moment, if they're writing modern material, and I think it's time for particularly amateur groups to look a little bit outside the box and say to themselves that instead of doing the traditional, you know, theatre scripts that are out there and have stood the test of time really well, that instead maybe of doing that, maybe it's time for them to think about writing their own material, taking that giant step and putting it on and facing the critics and hoping that it goes well. I think any drama group that would decide to do that would find that it's an amazing experience, as we have.
This is my second time to see it, and I just think it's so brilliant. There's so much in it that you need to see it twice really to hear all the jokes.
And it's very true to life, I think, I suppose, you know, going back to the time it was, and just hilarious, absolutely hilarious.
Oh, wonderful. The one-liners were just incredible. Really, really good.
Next week, The Real McCoy travels to the Everyman Theatre in Cork, and from there to the Olympia in Dublin. A new challenge, but one the team is relishing.
The Olympia is a bit of a challenge because it's kind of one of the national theatres, and that's good crack, and it's fabulous for a small amateur group from the west of Ireland to get up to Dublin and show the ones in the big city that we can do it too.
Well, hopefully the ones here in Dublin will enjoy the fun and crack when the Croaky Hill Club comes to the Olympia Theatre. And that ends our programme for this evening. We'll be back again on Monday with another Nationwide. Enjoy the weekend. On Monday's Nationwide, as the people of County Fermanagh prepare for the G8 summit, we meet the people of Enniskillen as they put the finishing touches to their historic town. we visit local beauty spots and sample some of the attractions on offer perhaps to the leaders of the world's richest nations.